Been here with you on Enlightened World Network. Let's just start our time together by settling in. Let's take a deep breath in. Hold it for a few seconds, and as you release it, release the tension in your shoulders, in your arms, in your fingers. Take another deep breath in and hold it for a second or two and release it with a ah. And just allow yourself to come present to this moment. Let's gently press our hands together, rub them softly, feel your fingers, feel your palms, and come present. So today let's talk about the shadow self. In these times of uncertainty, we're getting to see a lot of shadows, right? We might be experiencing fear or anxiety or shortness of temper or restlessness. And the tendency in facing these elements of ourselves is often to judge and to try and suppress those parts. And I'm going to invite you to entertain the arising of different emotions and parts of yourself that you tend to want to judge as gifts. And so, what happens if we look at these aspects, these shadow sides, as gifts? So, what's the gift in fear? Fear points up certain insecurities and beliefs, and one of the ways to assess the shadow, to identify what is underlying, is to ask yourself, what is it that I would need to be thinking? Because so much of our emotion is generated by internal conversation or external conversation or beliefs. So, what would I need to be thinking or believe in order to feel this feeling of fear, for example? So, perhaps I'm thinking that I might not survive. You might have a fear as deep as, especially in these times with the potential of contracting the virus. Perhaps my life is at stake and I might die. And so there's the fear of death and the insecurity of living and in the face of that thought. And so, how do we presence ourselves to what the internal dynamic is of that fear? The truth of the matter is that we all face death at every moment, that death can be an advisor to us in our lives. So if you're finding at the heart of your fear is a fear of death, then look at, well, what is it in my life that's missing? What can I create in my life that makes the life that I have, as I'm living it, worthwhile and enriching and enlivening? So, with what we're looking at here is ways to be able to turn any circumstance around into a gift that opens us up to new possibility. And so I'm sure you've had friends who have gone through cancer, for instance, and I have known so many people who have told me that their bout with cancer gave them their lives, or that other tragedies in their lives, it gave them a new sense of purpose, a new sense of appreciation. And by actively embracing that opportunity, by actively digging into that possibility as it arises, we have the gift of using the moments of challenge in our lives to transform ourselves and to elevate ourselves and to consequently elevate the people around us. So I am listening to a book called The Gene Keys, and I'm just in the very beginning of it, but it's really fascinating. And you may have had experience with the book, The I Ching. The I Ching is ancient book of wisdom and divination, and um, it really speaks to the whole construct of the universe. And this book, The Gene Keys, which I probably will revisit as I'm digging more deeply into it, is mapping DNA and humanity and transformation onto this 64 hexagram system of the I Ching. And this morning, what they were talking about is the very first gene key, which I have just touched on so far. But it talks about a shadow side, a gift, which is kind of what we started out talking about today, and a siddhi, Siddhi, which is sort of the magic or the miracle that's attendant in that trait. So the first trait, interestingly, was numbness or chaos, entropy, and numbness. And I thought that was particularly poignant for right now, because I think so many of us are interacting with the circumstances of the moment by shutting down, by becoming numb to what's going on. And the gift of this trait, the other sort of the flip side of the coin of numbness, interestingly, is creativity. And creativity is where we, and this is according to me, not the gene keys, because I haven't read enough into it yet, but creativity is where we take on our power and the truth of the fact that we create our experience, that we create the world that we experience. And so today's invitation is to creatively look at what you can do or be or think or entertain to move out of a state of numbness. It takes courage, because numbness is, it's a way that so many of us cope. But it takes courage, because if you come out of the numbness, all kinds of things can arise: fear, anxiety, sadness, joy, exhilaration, excitement. All kinds of things can come from the numbness. So when we employ our creativity, we can uh, we can allow ourselves to recreate the context in which we're living in the world, intellectually based in beliefs, emotionally. And the idea here is that all these different states correlate with physiology, with biology, that as we shift from numbness into creativity, we're actually creating physiological shifts of our bodies and our being. Because when we shift our physiology, our emotions change, our experience changes, our ability to think even more clearly or more positively, all those things shift. And by employing our creativity, we can start to access that movement and that opportunity to transform and transcend. So exciting stuff to realize that uh, these decisions about how we interact with our thoughts and our feelings and our bodies and our moments of experience actually change our physiology, actually change our genetic potential. Like that we have the opportunity to influence and recreate our whole genetic makeup, in terms of expression and what's possible in the world, and what kind of lives we can create for ourselves. So the times of challenge are times of opportunity. We just have to um, step up and take the opportunity to embrace the dynamic moment and use it to our highest good. So creativity. Um, that's it for today. Creativity uplifts my spirit. Doing something creative really is transformative for me, helps to move me out of a less than optimal state. And so I invite you to play with that idea, move out of numbness, feel your feelings, and interact with them in a creative way to explore what the gift is in that potential shadow. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you'll come back and join me again tomorrow. Lots of love and compassion to you, and wishing you creative adventures.